Nikola Jokic goes back, and it's good. The Nuggets get a good win when they didn't play great. What does that mean? Plus, they get a win versus the Clippers without Jokic. Plus, Adam has some stats he wants to ask me about. We'll do all that and more on Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Network. Glad to have you with us. Thanks for making us part of your day. Appreciate you guys being with us. Thanks for making us your first listen on whatever platform you're joining us on, including YouTube, where you can join the show and join the comment section, as it's always popping as people join the show and we react to them live during the show. All you gotta do is go to youtube.com/LockedOnNuggets, subscribe, turn on notifications, and you too can be part of the show. My name is Matt Moore. I'm a senior NBA writer for the Action Network, joined by Adam Mares of DNVR. We can catch every pre and post game show, as well as daily shows and all sorts of great content at DNVR, and check out the DNVR bar. Today's show is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON. That's prizepicks.com, promo code Locked On. So, Adam, we have a lot to get to today. I didn't get a show in on Saturday for a number of reasons, so we have to check in on the Clippers game. We'll do that in the third segment, as they got a big win without Nikola Jokic on Friday, and woof, the Clippers are unserious. In the second segment, we're going to talk about some numbers percolating and whether or not they're real or not. And then we'll start today with the obvious one, which is I want to, before I comment, I'm going to give the floor to you, and I want to get your thoughts, your big takeaway on last night's game, the win versus the Orlando Magic.
I mean, the win was, I thought, a bad win, right? Like, Jokic had the comment after the game, and I loved it. It sounded like he was channeling his inner Matt Moore, in that good teams seem to win games when they play bad, and bad teams seem to lose games when they play well. And that's exactly what happened. Like, the Magic, I thought, played great. Their length really bothered Denver, I thought, in this game. I thought Denver got away. I mean, it's important to remember that Denver was up 15 at the half. Like, they did build a nice lead against this team. They were successful attacking them. I thought in that third quarter, Denver got away from who they are and just thought they can go. It almost felt to me like the Suns game a little bit, where it's like, hey, we can win this doing the fun way. We don't have to do this the right way. We could do this the other way. And they got away from that, played with fire. But they did come up with big plays when it mattered. I mean, the KCP 3, the Jokic 3, of course, is enormous. But the KCP 3 in transition was a big one. Aaron Gordon hitting his 2 free throws was a big one. Denver didn't get stops at all until the end, and they got a couple big-time stops. So, to me, this was a good, bad win.
Their grenade that Jamal hit, like fading away, that he nailed, was like, that's a crazy shot that was very low percentage. They converted a bunch of very low percentage opportunities. The clutch shot, I posted the stat last night, and it is important because it tells the entire kind of context of what Jokic brings to the table. That the Nuggets are now 12-5 in clutch games. Those are games within 5 points in the final 5 minutes.
Where'd you see that? Because I had 13 and 6.
I have it at I just went to NBA.com and did it by games Joker's been in.
Oh, okay. Okay. There you go.
So that's the difference here that we've got. They are 12-5 in clutch games inside 5 points in the final 5 minutes when Nikola Jokic plays. In that time, it's 74 minutes of total time. Jokic has 64 points, 20 assists to 4 turnovers. 20 assists to 4 turnovers. And the Nuggets have outscored their opponents by 68 points in those 74 minutes with Nikola Jokic in the clutch. I mean, you guys talk about this on the DNVR show about like how Nikola is one of the most clutch players we've ever seen, and it kind of continues to be true. What was interesting is Darren McKee from 104.3 was like marveling because he was just like, he was incredible, and I was like, I was like, I don't know, I think Joker honestly, like by his standards, like by the standard that I have come to expect from Nikola, watching him night to night, and I am extremely privileged in doing so. I was like, I thought Nikola came out really, really sluggish to start the game. I thought he screwed around in the third quarter.
Oh, see, I thought he was phenomenal in the first half, bad in the second half, and then great in the clutch. Because I mean, in the first half, he had like 8, 6, and 5 in the first 8 minutes of this game. The stretch when Murray checked out, so Murray goes out around the 6-minute mark every time.
Yeah, he started
from that to the end. Jokic made every single play for about 6 minutes, like every single one of them. And I was just like, wow, he's like in his bag. And then the same was kind of true, to be honest with you, at the end of the third quarter when Murray went out. I thought both stints when Murray came off the court and Jokic played with Bruce Brown at point. And then, oh, by the way, Michael Porter gets benched in the third quarter of this game for Christian Brown. Christian Brown comes into the game. That was not a plan. He didn't play in the first half. He comes in because Malone was so upset. And I thought Jokic and the Nuggets played great in that stretch as well. So I thought he had moments in this game that were great. The part where I'll agree with you where I don't think he was great was, and it's funny because we're talking about the clutch, I actually don't think Denver was good offensively in the clutch. They did not get the shots that they wanted. Defensively, they got a couple, like Jokic, I think, got one steal and a deflection, and like there were some things. But offensively, I was so frustrated with the fact that they couldn't get good looks. They just made tough ones.
Yeah, they were not on the same page. You don't see Nikola and Jamal as disconnected as they were very often late in that game last night. Like Aaron missed free throws, which Aaron's going to do. He also hit 2 big ones, which I want to give Aaron Gordon credit for knocking those down. This has been like an interesting kind of thing, right? So like Tommy says this, Murray was poor game last night mainly. I don't agree. I think Jamal,
I thought he was.
Jamal missed some shots. Like there were sequences where Joker was trying to like get his feel, and then the Magic were playing just enough with WCJ. Malone kind of talked about pregame. He was like, Joker and I had said that have talked about how WCJ is one of the guys that plays him the best. And I don't think that he was like shutting him down or anything, because again, we know nobody does. But like the clock was getting late, and like Jamal got like 4 grenades in the fourth. And then there was the one where he over dribbled and picks up his dribble, but then it's also like nobody's helping him, so they have to call timeout, and then they call a really great play to get Aaron Gordon the foul. I thought Jamal. I don't think Jamal played badly. I think Jamal missed some shots that he usually makes, and that's not playing badly. And I thought that the chemistry between people was not where it needed to be. I don't necessarily I don't put it on Joker and I don't put it on Jamal. Just the chemistry wasn't really right. But I think that this is a good example.
Real quick, I just want to say I thought Jamal was really bad last night, and I thought he did a really bad job of getting the Nuggets into their offense. So, and this is again what I'm saying is the Nuggets built those leads and were up 15, and they built those leads, by the way, when he came out, because the ball started popping. The ball started the actions went quicker. I thought that the Nuggets didn't get into a very good rhythm for that second half. That's why I say it felt a little bit roguish in that there was a lot of over dribbling. There was a lot of, let me try this. Then it would get late in the shot clock, and he caught some grenades in that part. But I thought it was of his own making on the offensive side. But I also agree that Wendell Carter does give Jokic. I mean, look, I've talked about it before the game. This is for whatever reason, that matchup, I wouldn't expect it to be one that would be tough for Jokic, but for some reason, that's one guy that actually does give him fits.
I love that Magic team. I just really love watching them. Like, they're not going to win 30 games this year. A lot of those guys are not going to be on that roster when they start to make a run. But I love Banchero. I love the way Banchero plays. Banchero's playing more defense than anybody expected him to play this season, period. Like, I was actually I hope that Banchero continues to give effort on that end, because he can be really good. I love WCJ. I actually like what Bamba's brought to the table. I like Fultz was really good last night. Like they played really well, which is why it's
long, man. I mean, even Fultz is really, really long. He looks bigger than Jamal, or at least as big and just longer. They're really long. I don't like their backcourt though. I like Franz Wagner a lot. I love Banchero a lot, and Wendell Carter Jr. a lot. But I don't know. I don't know if I like any of their guards.
Markelle never gets to take a step forward because he keeps getting hurt. That's the reality. Is Fultz. He had the whole shoulder thing with Philly, and we can look at Philly side-eyed as far as their training staff for a number of reasons. And then he comes in, he starts to make a leap, and then he gets hurt, and he's out a long time, and then he comes back in, and he starts to get rhythm, and then he gets hurt again. Markelle just can't stay healthy, and it really sucks because he's got a lot of skills to bring to the table, and you can tell that his confidence just isn't there with rounding out his game that would make him a lot better.
I do like how quickly he plays. He brings the ball up so fast, though. He sprints it up the court, and I mean, I'm telling you that it might be part of why Denver played so sloppy on the offensive end because they were on their heels a lot in transition.
Real quick, just to like kind of like breeze through this section. Bench was bad in totality. DeAndre was the worst. Just Mo Wagner, Franz Wagner absolutely tore them to pieces. He doesn't play if Vlatko is back. He doesn't play if I don't think if Jeff is back. I think they probably.
I don't know. I saw you put that on Twitter. You don't think this was a game that Malone would have called DeAndre's number?
No, because he has talked about both pre and post game multiple times about how that's not where he's at.
Oh, that he's just defaulting to Zeke.
Right? Yeah, that like he wants Zeke Naji to play 5, but because Vlatko's not available, Zeke has to, and because Jeff's not there, Zeke has to absorb the 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And so Zeke goes to 4, and then DeAndre plays, and DeAndre was really bad last night. Like I can say he was really bad last night. It sucks because like I think that he's been better than I expected because my expectations were literally the worst player in the history of everything. But like he is, if I take a step backwards, I'm just like, yeah, this fits exactly my preseason expectation, which is like by Christmas he's unplayable. I thought Zeke got beat on some plays last night. I don't think he was great.
Zeke got lost, man. Yeah. Like I think here's one of the things that to me is important. The Nuggets played a lot of zone. In fact, when Michael Malone called Michael Porter out of the game, he got so mad at Michael Porter. We haven't seen him get like pull him the way he did last night and threw Christian Brown in the game. And it was Christian Brown. It was all the defensive players: Gordon, Brown, and KCP with Jokic. And I thought, okay, they're going to get some defense. They went zone with that group, and it worked. It worked, but it just was so weird to me to go like, we're going to our defensive guys, but we're also going to sit in the zone. But the thing that to me sticks out here is DeAndre. I thought was really bad last night. Sometimes he just didn't have the like timing and speed of everything, and I thought that was one of them. But Zeke was lost in the zone last night. There were some plays where he was like, just not reading where he was supposed. There was one in particular, I think it was a wide open dunk, and everybody on the roster looks at him, and he's looking, and he's like, here and this, and then you're just like, oh my God, he does not read where he's supposed to be.
Bones Highland suffers an ankle injury and misses the second half of the game. For those wondering, the word is that it's probably not that bad. It doesn't seem that bad after the game. It wasn't like you can kind of tell how much a guy is. Didn't seem that bad after the game by indications. That doesn't mean that he won't miss the next game. It just means that I don't expect it to be a lengthy absence. Don't know how long it's going to take though, because ankles are tricky. So I'm not going to like give like he should be back next game. I don't do that anymore in the NBA. But the sounds of it, as long as the imaging clears fine, is that he's going to be okay. So. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back, and Ab's got some stats that he wants to roll through. In the third segment, we'll talk a little bit about the win over the Clippers and a crazy one that was. We'll do all that when we come back on Locked On Nuggets. But first, I need to tell you about PrizePicks. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. You just pick 2 to 6 players, and if they'll score more or less than their PrizePicks projection, and you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. I'll be loading up on NFL next weekend, probably taking a lot of players in that Jags-Chiefs game because there's going to be a lot of scoring probably in that game. You're not going to be against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. PrizePicks offers projections on any sport you watch: NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, PGA. You got men's college basketball and women's college basketball, WNBA, esports, NASCAR, tennis, Eurobasket, cricket, and more. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's just that easy. They offer safe and fast withdrawals, and they're currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code LOCKEDON. If you deposit $100, you'll get $100 back. If you put in $50, you'll get $50. Don't forget to enter promo code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us and making us part of your day and your first listen. Appreciate you guys being with us on a Monday. Hope you're enjoying MLK Day and keeping the right things in mind for that full day of basketball in the association. If you're hanging out, lots of good games today. I'm excited for them. All right. So Adam, you got some stats that you want to ask me whether or not they're real. I'm very excited to hear these.
Well, I got 3 of them. The first one's my favorite. Since Yokmas, the holy holiday, December 15th, every year we celebrate. Since Yokmas, the Nuggets are 3rd in offensive rating, 3rd in defensive rating, and 13-3, with 2 of those losses coming on the second night of a back-to-back. So is this real? Is there something to, we always say Yokmas is when Yoke kind of turns it into overdrive and the Nuggets come together. Is it something to the Nuggets being 3rd defensively over 16 games?
I don't think it's attached to the date because I don't think, honestly, I genuinely don't believe Joker remembers until someone brings it up to him.
It's almost certainly true. And by the way, I think if you go back like 4 games prior, the numbers hold there as well. So
yeah. But what I do think, I'm curious about this, and I didn't get a chance to ask him last night. I'll probably ask him next post game. I'm curious what Joker's thoughts are about the flow of the NBA season, because I've heard a lot of different answers through the years about when the toughest time is and when the go time is. I've heard a lot of players say, like, I hate March. I hate it. Like, half the teams are tanking, half the teams are resting, you're exhausted, you're beat up, you're just trying to get to the playoffs. And then I've heard a lot of players say, like, yeah, the dead time between January and All-Star after Christmas is just like it's a slog.
Yeah.
And I think that's weird because I'm like, that's like your prime time. Like, you figured out who you are, you figured out your rotation, you've stopped playing the bad players, you've made a trade if you needed to, you know who you like, your season trajectory is set. You're either like developing and playing the young guys, or you're trying to make the playoffs. But that's sometimes the hardest. But for whatever reason, I do think that, that mid-December through All-Star, I do think that that's prime Jokic time. If we look back, something like Jokic's greatest moments have come between not just after Yokmas, but also before All-Star break. Like he's had games like the triple-double versus the Bucks in the first half.
The Clippers game was a January game. The 49 points or whatever.
Yeah. So like all of these kind of things kind of add up together where I do think like this stretch is where you've shaken off the early rust. Guys know what they're doing. Joker's settled in. He's gotten over the really, we got to do this for 6 months, which I think he feels a lot in the early parts of the season. Like, again, still dominant. I just think that like this is not a Joker problem. This is a NBA star problem. You go through like the playoffs and the intensity of it and how incredible that basketball is. And then you have your summer off and then you come back in and you're like, and we're back to this. And we're doing this for another 6 months.
I think you're answering this as a Jokic question, and it's an interesting one in light of a Jokic question, because I do think the way I would phrase it is the NBA rhythm probably goes like this. Teams play really hard in October and November because the season's new and everybody wants to prove something. Then they fall asleep in the middle part because it's the dog days. And then maybe you turn it on at the end. And I think Jokic probably is more consistent throughout from start to finish. Like he doesn't ride the emotional wave of the season. So in January, when everyone's at a low, it's not that he's at a high, it's that he's probably at the same spot. He just hasn't dropped like the rest of the league has. But I'm more interested in this as a Nuggets question, more of like the Nuggets are now, I think, 19th or 18th in defensive rating. Like they're slowly climbing, but 18th doesn't sound that good. But then when you go and say, no, for literally half of the season, they played 42 games, half of the season now they have a top 5 defense. The other half of the season, they have a bottom 5 defense. And that's why it averages out the way it does. But does that mean something?
21st in schedule adjusted over dunks and threes. It's a number I've come to trust a lot. So that's kind of that's contextually part of the conversation. Now, some of that's like, that puts the Clippers game in context. The Clippers offense is bad. So when you're getting these wins versus the Clippers. But here's one thing I will say is contextually inside this part of the season. So in the early part of the season, when they were sucking defensively, I was talking to the veteran players about it. And I was like, you're trying to be like, they're giving you the stock answers. And I'm trying to be like, okay, but like, really? Like, what's like really going on? And they all kind of started hitting at the same things. And they're like, it's communication. And this is going to sound really dumb, but I do think it's true. Imagine you're an NFL team and you're trying to run a fast-paced offense. The Nuggets don't, but imagine that you're an NFL team and you're trying to run a fast-paced offense. So you're running a lot of audibles and you're on the road for the first half of the season for the majority. It's loud. You can't hear, so you can't communicate. So you're having miscommunications and false starts. it's the same kind of deal. When they got home, they were able to work on what their communication needs to be. They had more time to work on it day to day because they had more off days. They weren't traveling. They didn't have travel days. So they had more time to work on it. And you see that defensive improvement specifically with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Bruce Brown, and Aaron Gordon, the three linchpins of their defense. Those three guys were able to figure out what their communications were, and then they were able to communicate to the rest of the guys to get everybody else on the same page. Like, that's why it was ironic last night that the Magic were able to get up a bunch of three-pointers. I asked Malone pregame, I was like, you know, what have you seen that's better? And he talked about the 3-point rate. He's like, we've done a lot better. And a lot of that is they don't have as many breakdowns. And this is like where I'm blind as an analyst. Like, I'm just not as smart as I need to be. It looked to me like everything early in the season was scheme, and it wasn't. It was like their communication was off, and that's why that weak side corner was getting open so much. They communicated better and cleaned it up. Like, the scheme may allow for that, but if you execute it correctly and you have the timing and communication down, that's improved. So at least, like, that's what I've seen, is that their communicate. And like, I've talked to them about it, talked to Bruce Brown about it, like asked him a question trying to press her, didn't talk to him one-on-one, but like just about how their communication on when to call low man and when to respond by getting to the corner, those things are better. And that's improved their defense a lot.
If you talk to the players, they're going to say it's the communication. I think so it kind of gives you the perspective of a player. I talked to an analytics person I trust a lot early in the year, asking, like, how is Denver this bad on defense? And they said, like, having dug into it very extensively, they're like, to be honest, there's some shot luck that's going on. And I know, teams are making shots right now against Denver at a high rate. And I said, well, and they were scratching their head, like, I really can't tell why Denver is this bad defensively given everything I'm seeing. And then I texted maybe 3 games ago or 2 games ago, like, what's changed for Denver's defense? The answer was teams are missing shots now. Like, they're getting similar ones. So that's like the mind. So you have a player's perspective. You have the, like an analytics person's perspective. I don't think either one of these is actually correct. And I think that they both probably play into each other. Like, you communicate a little better, you fly out harder, teams miss shots a little more. I don't know. But there is a third leg of this, and that is the length aspect of it. And all of these numbers do coincide with another interesting event, and that is the return of Michael Porter. Michael Porter coming back into the lineup, again, early in the season, when he was on the court, the defense was good. Now he comes back in the lineup, and the defense is solved. There's it's not a 1-to-1. The defense was already on the upswing a little bit, like 5 games before he came back, but it's sustained since he's been there. I don't know, just something to kind of consider here. I got the next one for you, though. You referenced it in the first part. Denver is second in net rating in the clutch, second in defensive rating in the clutch. They're 13-6, which I find interesting because that's actually like the 4th or 5th best winning percentage in the clutch, despite having the best net ratings. Do you make something of that, or is that stat too noisy?
I make something of it. I think this team is really well built to execute when things get tense. I think a lot of it is I think this is one of the things, right, is over the course of 100 possessions of Jokic ball, you're going to have turnovers baked in. Over 15 possessions of Jokic ball when the game gets really slow, that lowers. And we see that with his 20-4 turnover ratio. And I think that that's not just a product of Joker. I don't think it's like Joker just takes care of the ball more. I think it's that the players are more locked in and they execute better. And I think that they're very well built to specifically leverage whatever you're bringing to the table. Because I kind of commented on this last night, that fans are always looking for, like, what in video games, it's called the meta, the most effective tactic available. What's like the lineup that's going to be perfect? And instead, I'm like, you need multiple solutions to the problems that are brought to your door. And this is one of the good things about the Nuggets is if you're in clutch time and a defense brings a really good pick and roll set, we're going to run post ups and handoffs, or we're going to post up to Joker. And we're going to play 2-man game underneath with Gordon. If it's no, they're really big and they have all these defenders, we're going to space them out and we're going to run 2-man game. Like, there is so many counters that Denver has, and that allows them to be great offensively. And I think defensively, I just think you have guys that are able to lock in Aaron Gordon and KCP that can really play at a really high level. Like, this is where I think honestly, that's one of the interesting things that I want to see here. I want to look this up real quick because I want to see We talked about you talked about MPJ and the impact of him defensively. I'm curious. Yeah, the numbers are still really good because he's been in 12 clutch games. But they're 8-4, which is not as good as it is overall, which is kind of interesting. I would need to look at the defensive numbers there as well. But like that's gonna be my concern is MPJ in high leverage situations defensively. Like I think MPJ has been really good defensively for the standards for him. He's been really good and been helpful, and the length helps. I think all that's true. I'm still going to be interested to see if in the clutch time he's going to be who guys go at.
I mean, to me, there's no question. This is why I like these numbers. And even watching last night, there was just a little bit of what's good in aggregate. The same is true of Jokic, by the way. Like I always say, Jokic is a good defender, but in playoffs, they're going to target the thing he's not good at, and then might look terrible. I think the same is true of Michael Porter. But to answer the original question about are the clutch numbers real, the reason I say yes isn't because I think the team's extra clutch or this or that. It's because the starting lineup is phenomenal. And guess who plays the clutch minutes? The starting lineup. So Denver's best lineup is on the court, and they're always good. They're good whether it's clutch or not clutch. That lineup crushes. They just happen to be on the court when it's also the clutch time. And so I just expect it because Aaron Gordon's a great defender. KCP's a great defender. They're both perfect role players around what you're doing. Jokic and Murray two-man game is phenomenal. And then Porter, the mixture of his length and his shot making just fits in nicely, at least in this context. So that's why I think to me, it's not about whether they're clutch or not. It's that they're just good and they're on the court during those moments.
Justin asked, do you guys think clutch time correlates to playoff time since playoff games slow down a lot like clutch time? If so, I feel like this team will be incredible in the playoffs. The answer is honestly no.
I think it's yes and no.
Yeah, it's like there are things about it that I think, let me put it this way. The things that make the Nuggets good in clutch time will be applicable in the playoffs. And one reason that they are well built for postseason success. The overall results from clutch time are often extremely variant. Like that's just historically speaking. Now, I'll say this. Teams that are good in the I've done some work on this. Teams that are good in the clutch, they do tend to be more successful playoff teams. Not in the clutch though. And so it's like there may be something to what Justin's suggesting, which is like, hey, if you can execute in these high leverage situations, every possession feels high leverage in the playoffs. There might be something there, but a lot of it does feel pretty variant because we do see clutch things. Clutch numbers will vacillate pretty wildly season to season. The Nuggets are having a good one so far.
The reason I don't think that I think they do correlate for the reasons that seem obvious in the question or implied in the question. But the reason that I think they don't correlate perfectly is the game that's the most illuminating to me is the Sacramento Kings' second night of a back-to-back. Now, there was no Murray in that game. That's an important detail. But the Kings, coming off of – you play 2 games in a row, you get a little bit extra time to game plan. Usually a team's not going to go away from what they do night to night. You have too many games. You kind of have to do what you do, and then you make little adjustments. When you get these new – what do you call these when you play the team twice in a row?
Duplex.
The duplex games. When you get a little duplex game, I do think it allows a little bit more adjusting because it's like, hey, we're playing this team twice. Oh, we played them last night. Here's what happened. We're going to do this. And in that game, they went after Michael Porter and Nikola Jokic. They put them in the pick and roll, went after them over and over and over again. And to me, that was the game that's most indicative of what the Nuggets are going to see in the playoffs. They're going to go at the one thing Denver is not yet proven to be good at. Michael Porter is improving on that end. He's making progress. But to me, that's going to be the scariest thing about the Nuggets from regular season to postseason is every team is going to target that. And I'd love to see every team doing it now because I just want to be like build my own personal confidence in whether or not they can do it.
What's your third stat? What do you got?
Last one for you. The starters' defensive rating. I referenced this before, but the starters' defensive rating is 105. That's as good as you're going to see from any lineup that's played as many minutes as they have. I think they played the 6th most lineups of anybody, and there's some really good teams. The Milwaukee Bucks' starting lineup, the Golden State Warriors starting lineup. There's teams that are really good defensively that have played in those minutes, and Denver's been better than all of them. How real is that stat?
It's regular season real.
It's regular season real. So it's going to maintain through the regular season.
Yeah. I don't think that's variant I'll put it this way, as long as their effort is high. I mean, as much as the communication I do think was part of it, the effort just wasn't there in the early parts of the season. And so it just depends on like night to night how much they give. If they get to March and they're like, all right, let's coast on out of here. We're going to get a top 3 seed. It's done. If either they're so far ahead for the 1 or they're not going to catch the 1 if Memphis keeps winning. And that's like, okay, Memphis is up 4 games with, 8 to go or whatever. All right, let's coast it out. Then they might slip. We'll talk about it in the moment is concerning, but ultimately I don't know if it is. I think regular season it is. I got to give just like a lot of love here for look, I think Aaron Gordon has been phenomenal this season. Like even his numbers last night, like we brushed over the numbers last night and he was again great. Like he was just so good. And he's been good on defense as well. KCP to me is amazing. Like KCP, I thought KCP was an overrated defender when he got to the Lakers. I thought he was a really great defender in his championship season. And I thought that after that, I was like, he might be a little bit underrated now because people don't really realize like what he's brought to the table. And then he's come here and he's been phenomenal. Like KCP has been incredible. He does so many things that this team has missed defensively over the last couple of years where like, you're just like other guys have guys that are disruptive and the Nuggets don't have any. And KCP does so much of it. He makes plays. He's always in the right spot. He doesn't get lost. Like
he's phenomenal, man.
KCP's floor raising on defense is really high, especially for a wing defender, and that's hard to do in the league. Like the guys that wind up making a huge impact defensively are usually combo forwards and big men. I will say like Jokic gets credit for this. You and I both thought that his defensive effort early in the season was terrible. I think Joker's been much better. I think that they've done a lot more in figuring out how to attack teams to put him in the right situations. His drop seems more comfortable versus the personnel that they're running against. Their execution on running when they're like on DHOs and things like that in terms of ball containment has been better. They've just sharpened up on a lot of things. And that's, I think, led to a lot of good things. I still wonder if in the playoffs, which that's when the best comes out, if they're going to be able to get, I think it's going to be hard for them to find like game to game 105s. They're not going to need them because I think their offense is still going to be there. But if we adjust it as like regular season 105, I don't expect them to be an elite playoff defense, but I think they'll be good enough to get the job done.
I mean, I don't know if even elite, man. Like, if the Michael Porter piece is the only one there. Like, I actually think Denver's starting lineup is really good defensively. I'm worried about Michael Porter, Nikola Jokic, pick and roll combos. Like, who knows what that'll look like. But to me, I don't know why they can't be elite defensively. That starting unit is good. But it's the Michael Porter piece is the only piece of it that, like, I don't know about. I don't feel that confident about,
I will say, like, teams have tried switching him and attacking him. He's done, like, we've seen some of those situations, and it's been okay. The one thing I will say is, I'll put it this way. If it's a failure, it's not because of MPJ's effort.
Yeah.
And that matters. MPJ is like, he's put in the work to not make himself a liability. And he deserves a lot of credit for that.
The one thing I want to say real quick is, because I know a lot of people, it's important context, and I'm not trying to lead you in any direction. The Nuggets also had an incredible starting 5 net rating in previous iterations of the team, including in 2021. So it's just something worth noting that Denver has had these great 5-man starting lineups in 2018-19, 2020-19, 2020, and 21. So all the healthy years where you had a healthy Murray and a healthy Porter, the other guys you had, Gary Harris, Will Barton, Paul Millsap, whatever, those were also like really, really, really good net ratings.
My only thought, and then I have to do more research on it, but my only thought would be like, if we adjust it for year, because we've seen we've also seen offensive numbers rise year.
No, I'm saying net rating. I'm saying net rating, the gap, the offense and defensive gap. You're right that you would have to adjust it, but it's still like plus 15, plus 4. Right now it's plus 16.1. I'm trying to look back. They've had a plus 15, 14. Like, it's been good. That's still more sustainable now.
I think to me, this is just like a Jokic. I don't think you meant it that way. It's just that to me it is. And I get frustrated and concerned when no other players get credit for their contributions.
You're hearing this wrong, though. My point was not about this, man. My point is,
I was just going to finish.
Trying to say, regular season, this team has figured it out. Ergo, it's going to be great in the postseason.
Yeah.
They've actually been. They've had statistical indicators that say, hey, this is going to be a plus 15 team in the playoffs too. And then it's different. So that's all I'm saying.
They're different sports. like, I don't, this is one of the things that frustrates me the most about the NBA right now is like, I can't tell you, there's nothing similar. Like, I don't know that they're the same sport. That's how different the playoffs are. So
I would put it like this. I don't even think it's different sports. It's just teams know better. If you put two boxers who had never seen each other fight before in a ring, it would just come down to who's more well-rounded skill. But if you put two boxers and trained them for 3 months studying each other, they'd be like, oh, okay, this guy has a bad this or that. And now this fight is completely different because you're focused in on one thing. The regular season is two fighters who have never seen each other anymore or studied each other for 1 hour. The postseason is guys that have actually sat there and studied each other and have a game plan going in, and it's just different. And that's what the postseason is. And the question is more now, Denver's always been good when it's just, hey, we're playing you versus us, no real game plan adjustments. But they've been bad when teams can say, hey, we're going to game plan for this. The question is Denver as vulnerable as they have been in years past to those adjustments?
Well, I think we got to go to our last segment, but one thing I think is interesting there, I don't see them getting worse as the series have gone on, and any of them, right? So they lost 2 tough ones to the Lakers, but the Lakers didn't solve them. The Lakers were just better that season. The Suns just had their number because they were without Jamal and MPJ was hobbled. And they just didn't have, like, they did not have the firepower. Like, the Suns did not figure them out as the series went along. They just had more, and Jokic was exhausted by the end of it. And then last year, the Nuggets actually played better as that series went on. Right. Like, if anything, I would say
defensively, they played better offensively, but defensively, they just kept getting scored on.
I think if anything, the Nuggets have kind of showed an ability as the series goes on to acclimate for the opponent, which will be interesting to see if that continues when they're in a favorite position. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk about the Clippers game, which I thought was a phenomenal win for the team without Nikola Jokic. We'll do that when we come back. But first, I need to tell you about Built Bar. If you're looking for a delicious treat, but you don't want all the fat and calories, you got to try Built Bar. What makes Built so good? Well, for starters, they're all covered in 100% real chocolate. That's right, real chocolate. They come in unbelievable flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, and coconut almond. We're not sure how Built does it, but those bars taste like a candy bar while maintaining amazing macros. Only 130 calories and 4 grams of sugar with a whopping 17 grams of protein. You don't need to wait around to get a box anymore. For years, we've talked about ordering your bars at Built.com. Now you can get them at your local Walmart or Sam's Club. That's right. Head to your nearest Walmart today, and you can pick up a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or the coconut puffs. If you're close to Sam's Club, run in and grab a 13-bar box and hit our hit flavors, brownie batter, and churro. You'll thank me later. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar on the market. Check them out at Built.com. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us and making us party today. Appreciate you guys being with us on Optimism Monday. Casey asks, Adam, can we get you to riff on the guitar once? One of these times you're going to have to play a sweet line.
As a matter of fact, you cannot.
Why not? I want to hear
it. I'm sure you do.
Lay down. I'm serious. Big music fan. All right, so we're gonna talk about the win over the Clippers on Friday. Phenomenal win. Sorry I didn't get to a show after that one because it was such a really killer win. The Nuggets without Nikola Jokic get the win on the road versus the Clippers. I did not expect this. Was like, we talked about this being like, yeah, you can kind of give this one up. And the one thing we said on the show before going in was kind of like, look, if the Clippers come out and like give you the Nuggets an opportunity, like, hey, you could steal this, the Nuggets are going to be like, hell yeah, we're taking this. And that's exactly what happened. The Nuggets were phenomenal in that game. It was a huge win. Getting a win without Jokic is absolutely incredible. They're now 2-2, I believe, on the season without Nikola Jokic this season, which that's like the biggest thing here. I ran down all the numbers last night for a column I did on over at Action about what teams have been without their key guys. And if you're able to just go like 2-2, you're in really good position because it just means that you don't have to necessarily be like, well, this is a loss. Just being able to convert these low winnage percentage opportunities. This is a low win percentage opportunity the Nuggets got a win in. And I thought like a lot of players played phenomenally. Obviously, Michael Porter Jr. with 22 on 9 of 17, still 2 of 8. Still trying to figure out the 3-point shot a little bit. Jamal with 24 in that game and 8 rebounds. He's taking a lot of flack today, so I thought it was important to mention that Jamal was great.
He was so good. I mean, to me, it was my number one takeaway. Is I was so impressed with Jamal. It was one of my favorite regular season Jamal performances. I thought he led the team incredibly well. He ran the show incredibly well. He was locked in, and then down the stretch to show you how much Murray was in control of this game, while being guarded by Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers double teamed.
Yeah, yeah.
Game. Rather than just say, "Hey, we have Kawhi Leonard on him," they're like, "Let's just get the ball out of his hands and dare someone else to beat us." And guess who that other person was? Michael Porter, who in the clutch did an incredible job at something that we had not seen him do consistently in his career, let alone the season in particular, which is attack off the dribble and make plays, or just read the court and attack off the bounce. He did a great job of that down the stretch, and I was just so impressed. That was a really important Nuggets win, in my opinion, to get it done without Nikola.
I'm not trying to diminish MPJ. I'm trying to solve for what I'm missing here. So I want to ask you, what did you find impressive about the sequences where they blitzed Jamal and he got the pass over the top to MPJ? What were the things that
put the ball on the floor? Just Porter has not shown a consistent ability to get to the basket, to create shots for himself. He can hit spot up jumpers in transition. He's dynamite. Off of cuts, he's incredible. Offensive rebounds. But off the dribble, when it's I just have to beat my guy. I mean, you have a 4-on-3, but really they're bringing the one. It's 4-on-3, but it's really 1-on-1 within two helpers, right? And he got to the rim 2 times in a row off of that release valve. He just got to the rim because he beat his guy off the dribble and got to his spot and elevated and scored. And oh, by the way, hit the shots in the clutch. Those are pressure cooker shots. So to me, that's what's so impressive. And I say this because KCP is not the ball handler that Will Barton was, but he is good. You don't need the Will Barton level ball handler. You don't need that. You just need a guy that can grab the ball off of a pick and roll, turn the corner and elevate if it's a shot, pass if it's this or whatever, or get all the way to the rim if the big sag's too far. Michael Porter needs to – if Michael Porter can do that as well, Denver has 5 options of handling the ball. He's the one guy right now that doesn't usually dribble a whole lot and get to the rim and make those types of reads. And the fact that he did it in the clutch when they needed it most was so impressive.
I think I'm being too nitpicky here. So the thing was they brought the defender that rotated up to him. So he had a defender on him. And in that situation, when you got 2 on ball and 1 on him, that means that he's got a 4-on-2 situation there. There's 3 defenders up top. That means that there's 2 defenders trying to guard the other 3 guys down low. The wing was wide open. So if he goes, he caught it and waited. And that's why after the blitz of Murray, the defender was able to get back to the corner. If he catches and he goes, now all of a sudden you're in a situation where somebody is wide open. I don't know if that's reasonable to expect from him.
But I don't even know if it's about reasonable to expect. In that moment, you don't want to turn the ball over. When you're up, because they were up 8 points, I think, at the time they had the first one with them 2 minutes to go. Even if you don't score, you're probably going to win. The key is just don't turn it over, because then it's a fast break and you just burn. The clock went quickly. So to me, I'm not worried about him. He made some quick reads earlier on the game where he caught it and went right away and beat the guys, off of the attack. To me, his ability to get to those shots in those moments to me is just huge, and gives Denver a whole new layer, a whole new wrinkle. And it's not lost on me that he did it in a game when Jokic wasn't there, when he got to sort of step up into the pecking order a little bit.
So yeah, phenomenal win there. I think that also says a lot about the Clippers. I mean, I railed on that team at the after it. I was just and I railed on Kawhi. I was you can't. They just housed you. The Nuggets just housed them in Denver. You are coming off of all these disappointing performances, and it's well, Kawhi played well. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm not.
He also didn't play well. He was a -16.
Yeah,
he made shots. He made shots. But yeah. I mean, Michael Porter made shots. Are we saying there? Is that the bar for a superstar?
That's how. This is where I get so frustrated, because this happens a lot. Where it's well, this guy was awful, and I'm if I look, I'm oh, he's 6 of 17. That's why you think he played terribly. I'm that's right. No. It's not how it goes. Yeah, making the shots is important. Efficiency is important, but there's a level of accountability that is present with the Denver Nuggets that is absent with the Los Angeles Clippers. You can go too far with this, where it's look, 2020 February game, Clippers bully them. Everyone's like, Nuggets aren't for real. They're frauds. They're not real contenders. Bubble, right? But so long way to go. I'm just saying that, like, I have a hard time taking the Clippers seriously in any situation where it's like, if they're down 2-1, 3-2, 3-1, is Kawhi going to walk in there and like get is he going to play well? Probably. He's Kawhi. But is he going to be like, is he going to set the tone? Is he going to lead the team? Is he going to be the guy that sets the accountability? No, he's not going to say anything. And that, I have a hard time taking that team seriously after that game. It's very rare that a regular.
It's also more important though, Matt, just to say that they got punked in Denver, and then their coach was like, "We're going to find out what we're made of," and then they lost to the team without their best player. Like, I think to me, it's like, question answered. We know what you're made of. Yeah, I am annoyed at how many people pick the Clippers as the team that's like, this is a sleeping giant. This team's going to be. I'm just like, you got to be kidding me, man. What are we doing?
One more thing. Ben Mac Stefan says, loving the vibes in the arena. Best I've seen. I've been doing that. I've been here for 10 seasons and or 11 now. This is gonna be my 11th season. Best one I've ever seen. I have never seen a season this good as far as the crowd goes. It is incredible. The 2013 team, everyone was kind of like, because they didn't really have a star to get around, and it was kind of like, oh, hey, you guys won. That's good. It's phenomenal. Like every single night, the vibe in the arena is terrific. Ball Arena is a really fun place to be right now.
It's true, man. I mean, look, Denver, this isn't surprising at all to me. This has been Denver's MO. Like, Denver follows the team when they're good. That was halted a little bit by the fact that Murray got hurt, but now they're good. They're number 1 seed. They have real title chances. By the way, I think number 1 title odds. Have you seen this? Like Jokic right now, number 1. I haven't checked BetOnline yet. Like
MVP?
MVP number 1 odds, and then the favorites for the title, or at least the Western Conference, I think Denver is number 1 as well. So kind of funny how things turn.
They've got to be taking money. They've been taking my money. I have a bunch of Celtics Nuggets finals matchup tickets. Yeah. Like that's what I've been betting, because I'm just like, if you're gonna give me the Nuggets at this number, because they were like 4th like 2 weeks ago. It's crazy. It's crazy. Warriors are still co-favorites at a lot of them, which I think still makes a lot of sense, even though here's one thing I will tell you, a lot of this conversation I was having with Christian over at B-Ball Index. Teams that don't have a top 3 seed don't win. Like, they don't make the finals. There's been like a handful of exceptions, and the Warriors do not look like they're going to get there. So, like, if we start doing the elimination games,
the exception to me, like the exceptions I'm thinking of were the Lakers. I can't remember what it was. 0-2 Lakers when they were like a 5 seed, and they ended. I mean, it was like so unlucky for the teams that were good that year.
Yeah,
they fit that mold. But that being said, we'll see.
All right, let's wrap it up there. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you guys being with us on a Monday. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode as we get ready for the Nuggets game versus the Blazers, and then a back-to-back versus the Wolves. We'll have you covered on that. Have yourselves a great week. We'll see you guys again next time on Locked On Nuggets.